this is one of the few industries that those of us who get in our car and go to work every day or go to Kroger and do whatever can see its growth. We've seen these signs all over the city. We know they're here. We're getting calls from friends down in Macon. We're getting calls from friends down in Savannah. We want to go to the beach down there. Oh, yeah, where they're filming Baywatch down here. So it has swallowed up this state. If you aren't paying attention to that,
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get Scene Unscripted. Unless this is your first episode, then big welcome. And if you're coming back, thanks so much for coming back. We appreciate you. I'm so glad that this podcast is really serving you in a big way. Before we get started with our incredible guest today, I'm going to read a YouTube comment today, which is from Adam Joel Hazinga. Says, one of the best podcasts out there for working actors. Always looking forward to the next interview. Adam, the next interview is right now with a good buddy of mine, known you for so long, and this man is so giving, so caring, Mr. Greg Clarkson. What's up, man?
You read my review. That was my pen name. Oh, man, no, fine. Good. This is the first time the script has been flipped.
Yes.
Because I have interviewed you.
Yeah.
You have been on major market radio.
I know.
A handful of times. And television, of course, I didn't do that interview.
No.
So this is nice. Get a little sitting, nice little chair here, nice and comfy.
That's
I don't have to worry
right.
about putting a song on or talking about the Braves.
No.
So what's
well,
up?
I mean, I'm excited to have you here, Greg, because you're an actor. I mean, you just talked about you're going on almost 30 credits now.
Getting
Things
close.
Like Spider-Man,
Well,
BMF, like some really big credits.
Yeah. And
you also, like you said, you're a radio host. You find yourself like broadcasting a lot of different things. And so it's just, I love that you found your way in so many different areas of the entertainment business. And so that's why I'm excited to chat with you.
that's what happens when you grow up in a big city.
Yeah.
Because parents don't give you nothing. They want you to get out there and hustle and find your way around. And everything that happens under the broadcasting umbrella is evolving. And if you don't evolve, then you become, hey, you remember when so-and-so used to be on this station? You remember when so-and-so used to be an act? They don't evolve. They don't see the trends. They don't, you want to stand on the banks. It's like the cruise ship analogy where, hey, wait for me. Come on back and get me. And it's like, no, man. We told you we're taking off at 6 o'clock. So I don't know that all the nice things that you named, actor, you're never going to confuse me with Michael B. Jordan or Denzel or anybody like that. I'm a day player. I'm happy to be that. I have found a lane. I'm taking advantage of the industry being here in Georgia. And all those different hats that I wear lends itself to the opportunities that I fortunately have taken advantage of. But they've landed on my doorstep.
You talked about evolving. When do you know you need to evolve? Like, when do you know you need to begin to make a transition and make a change?
I think that's a blueprint that everybody wants. I don't know, man. It's a feel. It's that you want to achieve certain things, and if you can't get there or you don't see that path being clear the way you envisioned it, maybe that's when you take a left turn. Say, listen, I never planned on being radio this long. I just didn't. And I'm not in it full time. So I use radio for the other hats that I wear.
I feel like everybody listening right now is like, this man is definitely in radio. You hear his voice?
But the thing is, what I'm doing, though, is helping others. You and I met because I was auditioning for day player roles, but I needed a tape. You came into town with this great business, but nobody knew who you were. I had a platform. Let's let everybody know where Jesse is, where Get Scene Studios is, what they do there, how you, as a person who isn't even in the business, can be a part of some of the workshops, some of the classes. Maybe dip your toe in because you've been seeing all these yellow signs around the state. This is filming here. This is filming there. When this first started, how many days passed did you run into people who weren't in this business who came up to you, Jesse, I saw this yellow sign. What's being filmed over here?
Right.
How often did that happen?
I mean, it was probably more like people didn't even know what the yellow signs were. You know what I mean? They're like, what the hell is that?
So yeah, they knew it was here, and I took advantage of it too. I saw these people here. That's how I got into highlighting the extras opportunities. Because just like your business, I in the air talked to people who wanted to know what was going on. How can I be a part of it? This was the one industry, Jesse, that, we got Coca-Cola, we got Delta, we got UPS, we got all these Fortune 500 companies. And we hear about their growth, right? They're expanding here. They're doing this and here. I use somebody from the industry, Tyler Perry. He started in this location. Next thing you know, we're hearing about him buying more of Fort McPherson, right?
Yeah.
So he's expanding. My point is, this is one of the few industries that those of us who get in our car and go to work every day or go to Kroger and do whatever can see its growth. We've seen these signs all over the city. We know they're here. We're getting calls from friends down in Macon. We're getting calls from friends down in Savannah. We want to go to the beach down there. Oh, yeah, where they're filming Baywatch down here. So it has swallowed up this state. If you aren't paying attention to that, that's a decision on your part, but you can't avoid it. And because I do what I do here, it was in my best interest to see if there was an avenue that I could help not only our listening audience, but, find a little spot for Greg too. And I seem to continue to look for those opportunities.
Well, I mean, and I loved that so much about you. I thought that was such a unique and special thing that, when we met, you were like so giving and you just wanted to help. And I really felt that about you, and I was grateful for it. And got us on the radio and got us on Fox a bunch of times, and it was really awesome. And so where did that come from for you? Like the place of just like wanting to give and wanting to serve?
It came from Thelma. Excuse me, Thelma, that's my mother. It's just, listen, I don't know exactly when it happened, but it's a part of me, I guess. I don't know. I thought about this once. I said, maybe it's because I play baseball and I'm a middle infielder. I play shortstop or second base. So you always got to look out for your partner. You always got to look out for your teammate. So maybe that's the giving part of it. I don't know. It just makes life easier for me. And I get a lot of joy out of seeing somebody crack a big old Cheshire cat smile. I really do. Now, as far as you and I had that opportunity in place already with the extras because I had met, actually, you moved into a building.
Over on Bishop Street.
Yeah, right. That used to be a studio.
Yeah.
And that's where I met one of the other casting directors who was working for somebody else. So it was like, what are you looking for? Oh, you need middle schoolers and you need Latinos to play, in the park or whatever it was. I felt like I could provide it through my audience. Excuse me again. So I said, why don't you come on? And I'll get you on with this DJ, and we'll talk about it, and we'll make a thing. Because I felt like somebody walking down the street, there's a $100 bill laying there. I put my foot on it, looked around, but nobody else saw this? Come on, man. So it became a whole feature.
Yeah.
It became a feature. It was a win-win for everybody. At the time being, it was like 2011. Everybody was trying to find ways to drive people to digital, right? So we put the casting director's needs up on our website. And then we had the casting directors come on, so we created a feature for the show. We had a way to drive them back to digital, and we were one of the few people who was actually letting people know about, hey, the industry's here. Y'all know about it. Here's your opportunity to be in it, albeit just an extra, but you don't have to worry about getting headshots and pictures, all of that stuff. You don't have to worry about getting an agent, and it took off. It wasn't about getting numbers or having some grandiose idea. It was just something that was a way of helping folks, connect with me, the radio station, the industry, and it seems to have worked. And here I am 13 years later still doing
it all comes down to serving. It all comes down to helping people. And you just never can go wrong with that.
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
never can. So you talked about, how you were kind of like, well, I'm here and these yellow signs are popping up everywhere. Kind of decided to jump in. Can you talk about one of your favorite credits and maybe a big lesson of getting on set?
Those are two different stories.
Okay.
The lesson is that's something else. My favorite time just happened not too long ago, and it was just strange. It's all in the beginning. If you're paying attention, it's a learning process. So you learn along the way, the good things and the bad things. But I actually did a job for the show Killing It, the Craig Robinson show.
Yeah, on Peacock.
So I was Gonna be an interviewer. That's one of the lanes I occupy. I'm always either a newscaster, broadcaster, and in this case, I was an interviewer, and I was interviewing an influencer, and this dude was just all over the top, and he cracked me up. But the best part about it was that the director let us go off script, and it was the first time I got a chance to go off script and just ad lib and interview somebody just like a radio show. Because I have no script. I know we're going to talk about this athlete who did this, but past that, when you get into finding out about the person, that's where it gets fun. And he was like, I was throwing him batting practice pitching right over the middle of the plate, and he was hitting it out of the park, and we just kept vamping like that. So yeah, that was my favorite time. And they only used like 2 seconds of it, as is the case, right?
Yeah.
You go on and on for 5 minutes, and then I would just say this little nugget right there.
How, I guess beyond your just like extensive experience with that, was there anything? Because I want to try to think like for the actor that's like, oh my God, that seems so fun. I want to be able to go on set and riff and improv and really just truly like live in the moment. What preparation can someone do?
I don't know that they can, to be honest with you. I think that happened because of what I do.
Right.
I think that director saw, oh, this guy's a broadcaster. He can talk all day long. And that's what they let me do. And this actor was picking up on where I was going. And I didn't go all over the map. I kept it pretty much within the range of what he was supposed to be or his character. So I had learned that much at that point. But you can put anybody in front of me. I can interview that fern behind you if you want. 'Cause that's a gift that I have.
I'm going to interview that fern behind you.
We'll do that. So it's one of those traits that people that do what they do don't know where it comes from, but they just have it. I don't know if that's an answer to your question.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I do think you're right. I think some people have it, right? But I think that it's also, I think it's a skill that can be learned. I think it has to do with getting comfortable and being uncomfortable.
Okay.
And, upping that confidence. Obviously, improv classes and stuff are going to help you.
Okay.
And I think you want to add those different things into your arsenal as an actor.
You can add, as an actor, that's different. But I thought you were talking strictly broadcasting. If you're interviewing somebody or you're venturing down a road, my whole thing is believability. Period. There's certain roles I won't take or even audition for because I know that I won't be believable in them. Okay? And it has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with where you grew up. It just has to do with your skill level at that particular time and where you are. If you can pull off a British accent, cool. If you think you can, chances are you shouldn't do it in the audition because it won't be believable. And so, I will not be auditioning for the Snoop Dogg story.
Right.
Okay. Nor will he for the Bryant Gumbel story.
Unless there's a broadcaster in there.
Yeah. And so you have to understand the lane you occupy. At least I believe I need to.
Yeah. How do you feel good about that? Because I think there's like a lot of actors out there. Auditions come in, they feel like it's not in their lane, and they're just doing it anyway, right? And they're not really being true to who they are. How have you gotten okay with that? To be like, maybe the audition comes in, and you're like, either when it comes to being an actor, I'm not there yet, or I'm just not comfortable with that, and just being okay with it, like not feeling like you're missing out.
Okay. Example. However long we've been doing this podcast, people get a pretty good idea of what I'm about, how I speak, a little bit about me. So I get an audition, and it was for I was supposed to be auditioning to play James Brown. We'll just give a second for let that to sink in.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just let that sink in for a second. Now, this was an agent who had just joined the agency, a young person who didn't know much about James Brown. They just saw the breakdown, and it was an African-American singer and so on, however it was. So she gathered up the talent that fit into that category without thinking about who they actually were. And so... it was a very respectful, a very nice conversation, but I reached out and said, listen, I'm never going to get this. I'm just not. And I know who should play James Brown. And the people who are watching this, who know of James Brown, know who they're going to believe playing James Brown. And it ain't going to be Greg. So it was one of those things. And it happens all the time. I don't know if you get roles, but I think every actor gets roles. And it's not about challenging yourself and getting into the character. You just don't look like them. Okay? Bad Boys. Okay? 2 African-American actors, the stars of Bad Boys, right? One of them starred as Muhammad Ali in the movie. The other one couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet, if the agent wasn't paying attention, they both probably got breakdowns to audition for it.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
All right? And so you know who's believable in that certain role and who isn't. And I don't know that I can tell an actor not to audition. You asked me specifically. So if I see something that's out of my wheelhouse, at least where I am right now as far as my skill set, because the agent looks bad too. If I submit something and I'm hamina on it, and I look nothing like or acting anything like the character, not just if it's a real life person, but if it's a character that is being created in the mind of that writer, and I'm a block and a half off, the agent doesn't look that good either, correct? Because they've submitted it. So that's where I'm at right now. I've come to find out that I've come to learn what my range is. It's expanding, but it's still not extensive at this point. And I'm okay with that.
And I think, well, I mean, and I love that. I think that's important because I think there's just something really beautiful about being okay with where you're at. And I feel like so often we get so stuck in like, I want to be there and it's so far away. And then you're just not happy with where you're at. And I'm not saying don't set goals, like absolutely set goals, but it's like you need to enjoy where you're at, enjoy the journey, set those goals and go after it. So I think it's so refreshing because so many other people are like, wow, I only get this or I only do that. And they could be like understanding that you have a choice and you choose to be like, yeah, this is great. I love it. I've been on these different shows. I was in Killing It and Spider-Man and BMF and all these other shows, and like this is awesome. As opposed to being like another person could choose to be like, oh, well, I'm just the reporter again, and like so upset about it. And so it's like choosing. You get to choose the reality you want.
It's important to also point out that I have options because of the other things that I do. If I was a full-time actor, this might be a different interview. Okay? Yeah. So you should point this out. There are people who are paying the bills by those reporter jobs they get. And that's not my sole source. So I can afford to be a little choosier.
Well, I think though that is so important, and that's why I love having you here, is like you do have these other things. And I think as actors, we should have other things as well. Like if you live and die, every single breath is about acting, I honestly don't think you're going to be that happy. There's so much rejection. Like if you get 5% of your auditions, like you're doing a good job. And like, that's not a lot.
I was going to say 5%. I never heard that number before.
I mean, it's a made up number, I guess, you know, like one year I might have more than 5%. One, it might be less, but it's like, if you're doing that, you're doing pretty good. And it's like, that's not that sustainable. One, financially. Two, I also think with like happiness in your journey. So I love that you do other things.
The other thing is I'm not caught up in I've been here for a minute. Okay. I won't say I'm old, but I'm older. So I don't get caught up in, social media and trying to grab all the money off the internet and all that. The minefield that's out there right now, Jesse, for those who are trying to find other things to do other than acting is different than mine. Okay. I stayed on the terrestrial broadcasting level. Okay, I didn't get on the internet so much. I'm at a station. I'm under an umbrella of 4 radio stations right now doing my broadcasting. I'm acting. Excuse me, day playing, and I'm doing the other stuff. But I don't know. I feel awkward, kind of saying this is a good way you might want to consider doing it because I'm in a unique position. In other words, I guess what I'm getting at is, what's it like being 25 right now? If you want to try to find other things out there other than acting and going off an audition, and you only book 5%. Is it getting a job at a restaurant? Is it? I mean, in other words, I don't know what's out there right now.
Well,
that
I don't know.
was,
Yeah, I don't know either. But like, how many people maybe didn't consider radio? You know what I mean? Like that they're like, oh wow, I didn't even think about it. Like, there's so many other things that are within the entertainment world that I think can fulfill you to be like, oh my God, I think it comes down to creating and making some sort of like impact. And I think like
you got to know somebody too. It's unfortunate, but you got to know somebody. You listen,
all right, how did you meet people? How do you meet people?
How do you meet people, or how did I meet people? It's a different story.
Whatever question you want to answer. Whatever one has the better answer.
I tripped and fell into somebody who was doing mornings at the radio station.
Yeah.
Okay. And I came through Atlanta. I had the best job in the Western Hemisphere for the longest time. I was a DJ on a cruise ship.
Oh God,
yeah.
It's been so
and
good.
that's a whole other episode of Oprah. I could tell you a story about your boy being in Playboy, but we'll get back to this. Yeah, so the guy came on the ship. I met him. Said, when you come through Atlanta, I was going back home to Chicago. I said, when you're going back home, drive through, stop in Atlanta. I guess I got the interview. And when I came back to go back on the ship, they hired me. I knew somebody. There was a need. The timing was... I got on the cruise ship because a dude got fired. Mm-hmm. It was all about timing. And I had no idea how to get on a cruise ship. But a guy who was a DJ on one of the ships, he cut in front of the captain who was talking to this girl from, I don't know, Pittsburgh or something. But anyway, next thing you know, you don't do that. You don't cut in front of the captain. And he was gone. And the guy who put... I'm not kidding you. The guy who put the DJs on the ships had just got my tape a week or so before that. And I stunk. But he was in such peril, he had to put somebody on this ship.
Oh, man.
And he says, I never forget this. I came home from work. I was living with my mother, time being, and gave her my check. All right, this is, paying rent at the house. Mom wouldn't let me go.
Good job, good job.
Yeah, she took my check, and it was a rainy Friday, and the Cubs were losing bad. So I was having a miserable day. And I get this call from this dude in Miami. And he says, can you be in Miami tomorrow to go down this ship? I go, what? He goes, I need your physical, I'll never forget this. I need your physical body in Miami tomorrow. Is that possible? Yeah. I had no idea what I was saying. Yeah, but I did. I called my father. And I said, this is what's going on. Can you get me? And he took me to O'Hare Airport.
Wow.
And I got on a flight. I actually didn't get on the ship I was supposed to get on. I got on another one, which was a blessing, because the ship I was supposed to get on was a 7-day ship, Sunday to Sunday or Saturday to Saturday, something like that. But I got on, and the company was NCL, who was owned then by the Aaronsons. Mickey Aronson, who owns the Miami Heat, and Carnival now. So Carnival being the number one or, top cruise line, that's what NCL was then. So they had a 3-day, 4-day ship. You ever been on a 3-day? You ever taken a cruise?
Dude, those are just booze cruises.
Oh, well, kind of. The weekend
parties.
one is. The weekend one is. It left on Friday, came back Monday, kicked all them folks off. They just drove right to work in Miami. And then we went back out Monday afternoon. And we went to Nassau. Tuesday, I was in Nassau more than I was in Miami. We were there all day and all night in Nassau. But, that was...
Well, you know what I love about that is like, that's just like, it's so often in the entertainment industry, right? It's like, you just got to like get up and go. You have no idea when the opportunity is going to come, and like, boom, it's there, and you got to be ready.
What do you tell everybody? What did we learn as kids from our parents? This is one of the lessons we learned. The greatest regret in life. What's the greatest regret in life? Missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We beat ourselves over, man, if I'd have just done, and I mean in every arena. If I'd have just taken this turn, if I'd have just done that. So yeah. And it's gotten me to where I am positively and negatively, because I've had some things that happen that I've had to learn from, and it's been painful. Okay. But we all have that. It's part of the journey. There's nothing more boring than perfection.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have the roller coasters where we all like going. We don't want to get into something that's like this all the time. Oh,
yeah.
Have some ups and downs.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I love that you just had to like figure it out. It's funny because it like reminds me when I booked American Reunion, and I talked about this story on the podcast already. So if you didn't watch it yet, go watch. But about how I booked that and like I just had to go to Atlanta. I was in Orlando at the time, and I was just I literally just was driving to Atlanta. I had no address. I was just going, and it was just like figure it out, you know, and kind of similar. It's like,
Well, that's how
can you be there?
That's how I met you, right? You came here.
Yeah.
This was all part of your bigger plan.
Well, figured it out little by little. I don't know.
Well,
Get Scene Studios was founded in helping connect actors with industry pros. We bring in the top Southeast agents and casting directors to really help you get seen by the people that matter. And we really focus this on two different ways, everyone. In one of our signature in-person classes or workshops called the Get Seen 360. You get to have a self-tape evaluated, then you get to work on the callback, and then you also work on a cold read. You spend 5 hours with an industry pro in the Get Seen 360. And then for our online class, and this signature workshop we have is called the Perfect Submission. And this mimics the Actors Access submission process, where you send in a headshot, a self-tape, and a demo reel or clip. And so this is an incredible way to really get feedback on what that submission is looking like. And so everyone, as a thank you for listening, every single month we're going to choose one winner, and you get to choose one of these classes. Any class that you want will be absolutely free, and this will be our way of saying thank you so much. So all you got to do is head to the pinned comment below, put in your name and email, and you will be entered to win. All you got to do is put in your email one time and you will live there forever, which means if you submit this month, you could win 3 months from now, 4 months from now. So go ahead and head to that pinned comment now, and good luck. It was the bigger plan.
No, but here we are right now, you being a success, and you have the scars from the past.
Yes,
and
right.
the roadmap. You ain't giving that to nobody else. That's your roadmap. And we all have our own.
Yes.
That Playboy story and the cruise ship and the killing it and all this other stuff has gotten me to where I am right now. I've got some great story. Like, could you tell a great story right now? Either about, and I mean a great story, not just a story. We all got stories.
Well, now you
have
put
a
the pressure
great
on.
story. Yeah, but you have one. You have one someplace that people go, wow. I'll give you an example. You want to hear a great story?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be personal or professional. I'll give you a personal.
Yeah,
great
I was going to
story.
vote. I was going to vote personal.
I will use you and... Has Candy been on? Do we mention that or no?
Yeah, we can mention Candy.
Okay, we mentioned Candy.
Yeah.
You and Candy, for purposes of this story, are going to be my parents.
Oh, all right.
All right? You were raised by a single parent. Candy was raised by a single parent. You two go to college. You meet. You fall in love. You start a family. You have 2 kids. After you have 2 kids, Candy comes to you and says, you know, I don't like the fact that Mama's living there by herself. She's down there and the neighborhood's changing and, you know, I just worry about her a lot more. And you say, it's funny you should say that. Pops has been, you know, he's just kind of sitting around the house. I wish he'd get out more. He's not doing much. And then you two start having a conversation about, you know, these two know each other. Around the same age. They really get along at family functions, blah, blah, blah. Bing, bang, zoom. The next thing you know, your father marries her mother. Again, you with me?
Yeah.
Right? Single parents. You've already started your family with Candy. Got 2 kids upstairs sleeping. But then you call your dad and suggest that he starts going out with Candy's mom. And they do. And they get married. Next thing you know, you and Candy have another child, which is me. I only grew up with one set of grandparents.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a story.
Yeah.
So I'm saying those are the kinds of stories that I'm saying. I don't know if you tell them on the show here or tell them a part of your journey. The Playboy story happened on the cruise ship. And again, I tripped and fell into it. But I take advantage of opportunities, whether they happen positively or negatively. I learned, like I said earlier, missed opportunities, man, they drive you crazy.
How do you take advantage of them?
You help them along. if they're receptive, you insert yourself. If you see a positive outcome, if you find a story there. Listen, when we sit down at Thanksgiving or Christmas for that big dinner when everybody's around, what do we want? We want stories from the last 11 months. What'd you guys do last year, right?
Yeah.
If everything goes nicely, pretty boring. But if you got some stories, that's what I'm saying. So I look for these stories. We're doing a thing right now on our show, me and Sam. By the way, Sam and Greg, Sports Radio 92.9 The Game, weekend morning, 6 to 10.
Listen.
Yes, 6 to 10. And then we have people like Jesse on all the time. I decided to have a feature called They Got Next. You actually could do it here. It is 13-year-olds and under who want to break into our business. Now, we got a lot of people that do what we do who are afraid to help others because they don't want to have any competition, right?
Totally, yeah,
Not me.
exactly.
No, I look for it. I want it because this is the sports in me. You don't get better unless Magic didn't get better without Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan didn't get better without the people who pushed him.
Yes.
The Detroit Pistons. And there are guys, LeBron, every top athlete will tell you there was another great player or team that pushed them. And you see it in all sports. So we want to know who that next group of broadcasters are. So we give them a platform. So we started this a couple months ago where we're talking to families and said, you got a 13-year-old or under who walks around the house, who loves sports, can't shut up. They're just yammered all the time about this and that. We want to hear from them. Or if you're a teacher, or if you're a coach. So we have had, I think last week was our 13th or 14th kid.
Oh, cool.
Who we have come on at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we do a nice little intro for them. Well, first we talk to their parent. Hey, what's Chelsea like? What's Mike like? And we've had everybody from Randy McMichael, who played in the league, and he's on our station, played for the University of Georgia, and played for the Dolphins. We had his son on. We've had other actors, kids on. So we've had some people on. And they just do a 1-minute sports report. So we intro, and with today's sports report is little Stacey O'Malley. Hi, I'm Stacey. And she could talk about whatever, the Braves, Atlanta United, her little sister's volleyball team.
Okay.
And then she tags it with, and this is Stacey O'Malley with Sam and Greg on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. In other words, parents are over the moon.
I bet.
With that.
I bet.
But it's also, what are we doing? We're giving that kid the first part of their reel.
Yes. I was going to say what you're giving them, even more than the first part of the reel, is you're giving them belief that it can happen. You're giving them a hope. You're giving them, you're opening the window of what could be. And I feel like that we have to, all of us, be open to all of those different moments.
Absolutely.
And we have to take action to really be able to see them, have them. But I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's all about, again, you started this, and thank you for saying it this way, but it's all about sharing, or what was the word you used? Giving?
Serving.
Serving.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's me. I'm just a big dude trying to get into heaven. That's me, man. That's me. That's a big dude trying to get into heaven.
Yeah, I think you'll make it. I think you'll make it. I think you're going to be there.
I'm hoping. I got a guy down in Sarasota who I have been, I don't even know how to say this. I just I don't know when he's going, but he's still with us. Pop's like nearly 100 years old.
Wow.
And dude fought at D-Day and told his journey on a tape. And I've been playing this for people, and some people have just, I leave them with their mouth agog. And I'm talking everybody from folks who work with Arthur Blank to heads, what do they call them? Head schoolmasters here in some private schools, who try to put me next to military people who can help me put this information in a place that should be seen by others. It's a lesson. It's part of our past. It's what we talk about at barbecues and at barbershop, right? And this man of color talking about this journey when the Army wasn't even integrated. And we only make movies about 2 American battles. That's Pearl Harbor and D-Day. And he was at one of them.
Wow.
And talks about it. Anyway, that's not why you called.
Well, no, actually, I since you're bringing up your dad and wow, going on 100. I mean, that is congratulations to him. But I'd love to know, what's when your dad does go, what is going to be the thing that really sticks with you, where your dad is living with you? every
Baseball.
day.
Watching baseball.
Yeah.
Watching anytime I watch baseball, the Cubs. That's it. We all remember that thing that parent got you into, and for me, it was sports. And I have more positive, but I actually have a negative remembrance having to do with baseball and him. We were going to Cubs game. I was a little kid. My brother closed the car door on my finger.
Oh, no, that's bad.
Right?
That's bad. That's not good.
You can imagine the screams coming out of a 6-year-old then, right? So we missed the game.
I feel like we've all had our fingers stuck in a door.
He wasn't paying attention. I think he got popped a couple times upside the back of his head, but still, that's a remembrance that I have.
Well, no. What about? I mean, I think that's great because you're going to be able. I mean, especially with the Braves. I mean, you're going to have that like he's with you constantly.
Yeah.
But what about a like an attribute, a strength, a personality trait, something along those lines?
Well, I want his his inner workings. That means I'll be living a long time.
Yeah,
and I won't know it until.
Well, wait a second.
I'm
We
still
all
hanging
want
around.
this. What is he doing? Yeah, we
He
all
ain't
want
doing
this.
nothing. He's the
doing
oldest.
nothing.
He's the oldest of his brothers and sisters.
And the health's not important to him. He's just doing
Listen,
it. He's just crushing.
He is just that. He is that dude who everybody shakes their head at. He's in a facility now.
Yeah.
I didn't move him out of his house until he was 96.
Oh my gosh.
He was in his house till he was 96.
96.
And even then, it was coming up to the pandemic, right? So I had to kind of, hey, Greg, I'm getting calls from the neighbors. Hey, Greg, your dad left his garage door up, or, he left the front door open. Luckily, the neighbors kept an eye out for him.
That's nice.
So that was reassuring. But, yeah. I mean, I never thought about it that way. I just think of, I think of sports when I think of him.
That's great.
He's a numbers person by trade, and I don't have that. My personality comes more from my mother's side, but I got some stuff from him. It's all right. I can tell you one. Now that you thought about it, it's not a trait. It's just something hereditary. I'm not a hairy person. Okay, like I can grow a goatee. But I can't grow. I got to grow a beard. I got trouble.
Are you like happy about that?
I'm just used to it. I grew during the pandemic. That was like the only time in my entire life.
I
grew just this little bit right there.
Everybody had facial hair during the pandemic. Yeah.
But but I had a mustache. That was as much hair as that. But he's not a hairy person. I got incredibly smooth skin for a man. I get that from him. I think it's part Indian or something. Native American. Excuse me.
Someone is saying it's sexy.
Oh yeah,
someone is.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, cheesy. Anyway, yeah, but that's my man. We became friends these last 20 years or so. When I got to he started coming to Atlanta. He got to see how I live. He got to see some things that, he didn't experience with his other two kids. So we took him to a NASCAR race. Took him to...
Haven't been to a NASCAR race. Was it great?
Oh, yeah. He was one of the... they are connected with our radio station. So one of the people that worked there, I told him my father had been... He took me to Indy 500 when I was a kid. So I knew he loved racing, but he'd never been to a NASCAR race. So I made the call. The guy said, all right, tell you what, come on up to our suite. So I got to take him up to a suite. And he is of that generation that, brought the binoculars to the game. Brought a mitt to the game.
Yeah.
If it was a baseball game. So he came with his little forms. I told you he's a numbers dude, like an accountant. So he had his little thing, and he clocks these guys going around. So he's got all his information, and he's sitting in the front row of a booth. You've been in a suite before, right? You got the back area where everybody's partying, and you got the chairs up front there. He's sitting in the chairs, looking. And this view was incredible. I even sat down there for a good bit of it, but I was talking to folks. He spent 80% of that race in that chair, other than going up and going to the bathroom and coming back and clocking and making notes. And so at some point, they brought food into the suite, as they will do. And everybody's getting something to eat. I go back down there, I sit with him. I said, so you want to go get something to eat? He goes, yeah, where's the hot dog stand? Right? Thinking we got to leave the suite to go somewhere. This is how old school he was. He had never been in the suite before.
Oh, dang, nice.
And I go, dude, turn around. We got all kinds of stuff. When you get to do something for your parents, it's indescribable, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to get, that's another story of mine. I had him come on the ship. I don't know if we have time for that story, but something happened. We got time for it?
Sure.
All right, so I book him and his wife. Not my mother, they'd split up at that point. So he wants to come on board. So he tells me he's going to fly down to Fort Lauderdale, and they're going to tool around and drive down to Miami and spend the weekend there before they get on the ship. They were coming on the 4-day ship, the 4-day cruise. So they were coming to Miami, Fort Lauderdale on Friday. So I got to get off the ship on the Friday, drive up to Fort Lauderdale, leave my car. We had worked out where the key was going to be and all that stuff. He was flying in there, got in my car. They went and did some sightseeing and then drove to Miami for Monday. And then they were going to get on the ship. Cool, right? So everything works out. Monday, I come back to port. We get off the ship. We get all these people off the ship. I get off the ship. I see him. He's standing out there. I was like, everything worked out. He parked the car. So I said, you stand in line. You got to check in. So he goes through all the check-in process. I go back downstairs and I take his bags out of the car and I put them in my cabin. Because if you have a crew member that works on the ship, you as that family member will find out when we leave port, which are the open cabins, and we'll move you into one of those. So we know ahead of time the ship isn't full. So I take his bags, I put them in my room. I said, after you've checked in and got all the stuff done, you just walk around the ship. Enjoy yourself. Have a couple drinks. There's food everywhere. So he does that. Now, my job as we leave port is to put the music on. I'm the DJ, right? So I'm putting music on, and my club on this particular ship was the sun deck during the day. So people are walking around on the sun deck, they're looking like this, oh, look at this, right? And so I start the music. So he comes up. He couldn't be more proud, Jesse. He's standing next to me. He sees his son working on this cruise ship. He's got people at party, and I got the music going. I'm just in charge of everything. And I said, when we get out 3 miles, we'll find out which cabins are open. He goes, okay, great. And he goes, you get the luggage out of the car? I was like, yeah, I got all 4 bags out of the seat, and I put them in my cabin. They're ready to go. He goes, you get my bag out of the trunk?
Oh, no.
We're cruising on the causeway. He says that to me. Did you get my bag out of the trunk? I don't know how long your parents are with you or not. I don't know if this has happened to you, but I don't care how old you are. If you get to be 40 and your parents are still with you and you do something stupid and they give you a look they used to give you at 6, they make you feel like you're 6 again.
Yeah.
So he did this thing where he puts his hands behind his back and like twiddles his thumbs. Sometimes it was just him thinking. Sometimes that's what he did before he smacked me for something stupid I did.
Right.
But he put his hands behind his back and he starts looking away like that. Right. And I had the next probably 30 seconds where I don't remember because I can see he's looking at me in a certain way and I have left his bag in the trunk of my car. Now, you know that phrase about what they say about people who get squeezed? They either turn to mush or they get focused. Mm-hmm. I'm the one who gets focused. If you squeeze me, you do something, I'm working the problem. So my mind starts going 100 miles an hour. I got this music going. I said, all right, yeah, I did, but give me a minute and I'll be right back, right? So I immediately run down to my cabin. I grab my keys. Now I know this is going through my head. I know I can do something. I know that there's a pilot captain that's on board. So I run down, I grab my keys, I run up to the bridge, and they all know me up at the bridge, captain, staff captain, they all know me. Hey, Steve, hey, Greg, how you doing? I give my keys, and I said, would you do me a favor, take these keys and put them back in your office and just leave them there? Because every cruise ship has that tugboat that goes out with you till you get international waters. That captain gets off, gets back on the tugboat, it goes back to port, the ship takes off. That's why it's called international waters. So 3 miles out, you can start the casino, you can start, all that stuff is good to go. So he takes the keys back to his office. I call my boss. My boss is the guy who puts the DJs on all the ships. So now it's a Monday. It's a Monday. He's done going to the port for the weekend. But I say, Bo, my father's on board. He left his heart medicine on board in his bag, and it's in the trunk of my car. Can you get this out? I made up some story. But what I knew was going to happen was this. If he got that bag out of the trunk and just brought it into the port of where the offices is, you as a passenger, your entertainment bops between the various ships throughout the week. So the entertainment you get that first night, they get off the next day. and they fly back to Miami or San Juan to meet another ship. Entertainment that was on a 7-day ship that left on Sunday, they've flown back to Miami. All right. And they're going to catch a flight from Miami to Nassau to where we are. And they're going to be your entertainment Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, right? So if I get my father's bag into that port, and that's what happened. The tugboat captain put his keys there. My boss came in and brought the bag out of my car into the port. And then I told and I said, have a note for the dancers to just bring that bag with them when they come. And they did.
Oh,
and they
nice.
put it in. It's waiting for them in the lobby at the ship. So long story short is I found out my father's bag was in the trunk of my car as we were heading out, and I got it to Nassau the next day.
Nice.
So there you go. There's my story.
I love it. Nailed it. Like you said, when you get squeezed, you get focused, you're going to figure it out. I just thought he was going to get a new wardrobe in the Bahamas.
No, and he did wear my stuff though. I gave him that, blue blazer and some pants, and he wore that to dinner that night.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So he was good to go.
All right, Mr. Clarkson, I think this brings us to our spotlight sign off.
Uh-oh. 5
questions to end strong. Number 1 is, what's something you're super grateful for today?
Life and family. I'm upright. I'm healthy. Beautiful lady. Nice dog. No, beautiful dog. Excuse me. And we know about our dog.
Yeah.
Shares a name with somebody who I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just blessed. I'm happy and to be blessed right now
All right.
and be where I am in 2024.
Is there a book, TV show, or event that changed the trajectory of your life?
I don't think so. No, a book, no, and TV show, no. There's TV shows that I love, but didn't change the trajectory of my life. There are phrases and things that have said that I incorporate in my life, and I know what you're getting at. I'm thinking about this. No, it's the paths that I have taken after making a pivot have all been because of individuals, more than things I saw or information that just kind of fell in my lap. I did some investigating first and then made a decision. But you grow up hustling, you take some chances. So it's not always clear to that, sometimes you start stepping down into the basement before you flip the light on, if you get a trip over something. Does that answer your question?
Well, I think then, if it's a little bit more like about relationships, then like what's a relationship that?
There have been people who have changed the trajectory of my life that were not friends. They were people who influenced my father, who took us out of. Okay, I ended up where I ended up growing up, and having me have the sensibilities and the outlook on life because of a woman who worked with my father, a great woman who just passed not too long ago and is the mother of my best friend. But she ran a thing called the Oak Park Housing Center. And it was there have been different periods in different cities over the last 60, 70 years where those cities talk about a great migration of whether it's Latinos or African Americans or whatever, but there are minorities moving from inner city somewhere else or somewhere else into the inner city. So this woman in the mid-late 60s worked with my father in Chicago. A lot of stuff going on in Chicago back then, right? And we lived in a place called K-Town. It is, for those of you who don't know, the same place that Jennifer Hudson grew up and lost 5 of her family members. They were all killed there. So it is a violent part of the town. And the violence you hear about in Chicago isn't necessarily all on the west side. It's more south side. And there's a lot of the gangs back and forth. So not a lot of craziness on the west side, but it's got its scars. So she was like, you want to move to Oak Park? This is this new suburb and blah, 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 blah. She's trying to sell him out. And he's like, no, we're good where we are. Then we got robbed. Now I don't know about any of this stuff because, like I said, I'm single digit age. We got robbed not once, but twice. So she convinced my father to move us from this part of Chicago to Oak Park. That changed everything. It changed the group of friends I was going with. It changed the type of school I was going to. It changed the way my parents went about doing things. You live in an inner city situation that we were in to this suburban life. It's completely different. Now, me, again, I don't know. But what I do know is I would have been a completely different person growing up there as opposed to where I did grow up. And the opportunities that I had that I know and have been told I wouldn't have had there.
Right.
So it's about being placed. You know, I took advantage of the opportunities that adults, at least early on, put me next to.
Yeah.
And the friends that I had around me that supported me. And there weren't many black folks in this part of town. So you had people who wanted to help, and you had those folks who didn't want to help. So again, this is what I talk about when I say there were more individuals that changed the trajectory of what I did.
I mean, I think we all have, you know, big, like I say, like individuals that have made big impact.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So you're obviously a morning guy with the radio show.
No, I ain't. No. I don't want to be. I just happen to work then. Dude, I spent more time at night in this city than anything.
Yeah.
My show listen, everybody who knows me, 96 Rock, I did the dark side. And I was going to work at 11:30 at night.
Wow.
I was leaving Club Anytime at 8 in the morning.
Dang.
Y'all know nothing about Club Anytime, do you? That was a 24-hour club on 12th and Peachtree that was owned by the guys who owned a couple clubs around town.
Okay.
And so when I would get off work, you had no idea. When I would get off work at 5:30 in the morning, I had a whole group of people that used to, you know, call up 96 Rock that were bartenders, dancers, looking for a place to go. And this place opened up. It was packed at 5:36 in the morning. Dude, Mick Jagger walked in there one night. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
Free Jack was being filmed in Atlanta. Most of the scenes in that movie were night scenes. Him and I think it was Emilio Estevez, right? So one night, I'm in there, and again, I'm just dropping names because it was the only place open. So you would walk in there, and Bobby Brown would be sitting over there having a drink or whatever. So I was in there one night, befriended the manager, because I worked at the radio station. I bring him T-shirts, and so he let me enjoy myself there. But it would be full of, you know, this club's dancers, this club's bartenders, whatever. And Mick Jagger comes, I'll never forget this. He came walking in with two guys stood in this area that was kind of open so you could kind of see them. And everybody's like, is that Mick Jagger? I was like, yeah, I heard he was in town filming. Yeah. And he walked in, stood there for about 10, 15 minutes, looked around and left. About a week later, I remember seeing an Entertainment Tonight episode where he was on there talking about filming this movie in Atlanta. You know, people in Georgia do is go to strip clubs. That's all I do all the time. That's it. And that was his takeaway from Atlanta. But yeah, this Club Anytime. At night, that was when I existed. And then DJing too.
Oh
yeah.
man,
I know.
I'm sure
You think of morning man, but
well, I was gonna say, do you have is there something in your morning routine that you really enjoy, that you like, or that just like makes it survivable if you don't want to be?
I'll tell you something that I do like. Going into work, driving into Atlanta at that time of morning, is we have a pretty good skyline.
We do, yeah, I agree.
Well, it shouldn't be. I shouldn't say skyline because it's not all lined up, but we have a very impressive downtown. If you are up high and see it, you driving through on the connector, it's special. So I really do enjoy that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've been here. When I got to this city, it was 2.5 million. It was, and I use radio terms. It used to bop between the top three cities that used to vie for that 10 spot, you know, top 10 market, was Miami, Atlanta, and Detroit. They were either 8, 9, or 9, 10, and 11, you know, somewhere in there. I don't know where they are right now. I know Detroit's not up there, but yeah, watching the growth of this city and the people that have come here and the names that it's given itself, I just enjoy it. And the funny thing is, I'm occupying a whole nother lane being here and being black, because I'm focusing on and following what's going on the rock and roll side. In the meantime, hip hop world is swallowed up this city in the music industry on that side. That's great. Everybody's following that over there. I'm keeping an eye out on what we did as far as starting rock and roll over here. And that's been fun.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
man.
All right, 2 more questions.
Sure.
One is, what's something you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
My health. I lost over the last couple of years, probably about 65 pounds.
Damn, let's go. Good
And
for you.
I mean, I always played sports.
Yeah.
And then I'd look at myself, pre-pandemic and all of that. And then during the pandemic, forget it. I look like Rerun's uncle. So I had to chop all that stuff off. So I've been changing how I eat. I bought a bike, another bike. This is my second bike.
Okay.
My first real bike got stolen. So I got me a second bike.
All right.
But yeah, my health.
Nice.
And as far as broadcasting, trying to slow down. Trying to be a better broadcaster.
I love it. Last question. If there was one piece of advice you wanted everyone to get from listening, what would it be?
A phrase we've already used. Greatest regret in life is missed opportunities. And take advantage of all of them within the boundaries of common sense. But yeah, that's because there is no blueprint and everything's changing. Everything's evolving. Broadcasting isn't anywhere near what it used to be. Dude, I started at 96 Rock. We had a phrase that we would say. And here's the latest from Bruce Springsteen on the compact disc. I mean, it was compact disc, okay?
Yeah.
That was like a thing we used to say. You're going to enjoy it that much more because we're playing it on compact disc. So the evolution of radio and how the music has been presented to you or talk formats, it's ever changing. And if you don't evolve, you can sit here and tell me 5 guys, 5 women, 5 people, period, that you used to listen to that are not on the air. Whatever happened to so-and-so? They were good. Now, you could say some of it is attributed to that company and they changed the format or so-and-so wanted this much money, and that happens all the time. But if you like broadcasting and if you want to be in it for various reasons, for whatever your reasons are, you have to evolve. I'm not killing it, making money in broadcasting now, but that's not why I'm doing it. And I think you would tell, and I think the actors that you have, the true actors, and tell me if I'm wrong with this, would say to the audience in answering that question, do this because you love it, not to chase the money.
1,000,000%. If you're chasing the money, it's not going to go well for you.
Yeah. So you'll trip and fall. And we both know actors, I was going to mention some names, but I'm not, but have landed in some TV shows or some movie series, and they are now living a entirely different type of life because they can. They've been very fortunate. But they didn't plan that. Right place, right time, opportunity, preparation, and you can call them lucky if you want, but that's how you go about it. That's the definition of luck. We all know that. But I don't know. I also do what works for me. I can't look over there and say, I'm going to do it just like that dude. No, it don't always work that. And I'll tell you something else I'm looking forward to, working with the people who I don't know I will be working with moving forward.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'll learn moving forward.
Heck
I
yeah.
can't go back and this. I'm learning something from this. Right? And whoever I get a chance, an opportunity to bring on my show, you're going to come back on there and talk about some stuff you're doing. We're going to talk about something. We're going to get some more 13 and unders on there. And from all of that, I may meet a parent of one of those 10-year-olds who says, hey, what you do, this, I've been working on this and I'm in the business and blah, blah. And then next thing you know, something falls in your lap.
Yep. It's being ready for it.
Exactly.
It's being ready for it.
There you go. Hey, man, thanks for having me out here. Was this fun for you?
It was fun for me, Mr. Clarkson.
Did I talk too much?
No, you talked just the right amount. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you so much. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Comment on the episode. Let us know what you thought of it. And we'll see you on the next one.